I grew up in this background where everybody around me worked so hard. And in my mind, I thought if I work really hard, I will make lots of money. And I used to constantly add things to my to-do list for the sake of feeling really productive, really busy, because I thought that if I worked 10-hour days, then I would make more money. And when my business grew really quickly, it actually shattered this belief because here I was working less than ever before and making more money than ever before. Welcome to Imperfect Action. I'm Steph Taylor. For years, I read all the books, downloaded all the freebies, and did all the courses. But it wasn't until I started taking imperfect action that my business had its first $1 million year. Imperfect action is about doing things before you're ready, prioritizing consistent action over perfect action, and moving forward, even when you're not sure you're doing it right. On this show, you can expect mindset advice, actionable marketing tips, and strategies to build a business that brings you more profit, more freedom, and even more joy. Are you on the list to get my daily Biz Boosters? Every day, I'll send you a bite-sized prompt designed to help you grow your business in a more intentional way. Sign up at stephtaylor.co/DBB or at the link in the show notes. Hey, welcome back to Imperfect Action. This is episode 654. Today, I'm sharing a bunch of the things that I had to unlearn for me to get my business to the stage where it is at today. Now, I know it's really easy when you're looking at a business like mine from the outside, and very easy to think, oh, wow, she grew really quickly, without taking into account the fact that it's been about 7 years since I quit my corporate job. And yes, I spent the first couple of years floundering around, and the business that I have now is not the same business that I had when I quit my job. But there were so many things that came out of those first couple of years that I learned and that I needed to unlearn in order to get to where I am right now. So it's not a super fast process. It hasn't been a super fast process for me, but I hope that in sharing some of these things that I needed to unlearn, it will help you to unlearn them a little bit faster without making the mistakes that I did. Now, we all have these beliefs and ideas that we have picked up over the years, and we take them on as truths without really ever questioning where they came from or whether they still serve us. Things like, it's rude to talk about money. That might have been one that you heard when you were growing up. And this is something that you've just maybe ingrained in yourself, and you're like, okay, cool, that's just a fact. It's rude to talk about money without ever really questioning, well, why? What makes that the truth? So I'm going to share today 7 of these things that I used to believe, that I used to accept as truths, and that I've had to actually unlearn to stop myself from holding my business back. Because you are pretty much, you are your business's worst enemy. You're also going to be its best friend, but you're also going to be your business's worst enemy at times. If you can't get out of your own way, that's potentially going to hold your business back. So let's look at the things that I needed to unlearn to grow my business. The first one, the harder I work, the more money I will make. This was a big one growing up because, I grew up in a family, my parents worked really hard. Their parents worked really hard, make sacrifices to send them to good schools and good universities. And my parents made sacrifices to send me to a good school and university and all of those things, right? So I grew up in this background where everybody around me worked so hard. And in my mind, I thought if I work really hard, I will make lots of money. And I used to constantly add things to my to-do list for the sake of feeling really productive, really busy, because I thought that if I worked 10-hour days, then I would make more money. And when my business grew really quickly, it actually shattered this belief because here I was working less than ever before and making more money than ever before. And because of that, I felt so much guilt, so much shame. I kept thinking I should be working harder. I should be working right now when I took any time off. It felt really icky for me. And sure, if you are trading time for money, like I was back when I worked with clients as a marketing consultant, then yes, your income will be tied to the hours you work. And that's where you might consider switching up your business model for something that gives leveraged income, something like online courses, memberships, where you can serve and help and sell to a greater number of people for the same amount of hours that you put into it. The second thing that I had to unlearn was that it's shameful to want to make money or talk about it. A huge realization for me was when I realized the more money my business makes, the more people we can help. More money it's been what's allowed me to invest in a coach, invest in upskilling. I spend so much money on courses, education, because I'm constantly trying to learn more so I can better serve my own students and my clients, right? More money has allowed me to invest in Facebook ads and a publicist, which means I can reach more people, I can impact more people. More money has allowed me to grow my team, which creates time freedom for me so that I can create new programs. I was able to write a book. I've been able to do all of these things that I would not have been able to do otherwise. Now, back in episode 467, I interviewed the fabulous Denise Duffield-Thomas on money mindset and how she scaled to a multi-million-dollar biz by doubling down on just one product. If you want to listen to that episode, rather than scrolling through my entire back catalog of episodes, you can DM me on Instagram. I'm over there at stephtaylor.co. Send me the number 467, and I will instantly send you the direct link to listen to the episode with Denise, where we talked all about money mindset. So if you love talking about money, or if you feel a little bit icky about talking about money, go and listen to that episode with Denise, 467, if you DM me on Instagram. Okay, the third thing I had to unlearn is that I have complete control over the outcome, right? Whether that is the outcome of a launch, of a goal, of a project, in reality, we have no control over the outcome of anything. And trying to control how your launch turns out, or how your project turns out, or how your goal turns out, it's exhausting and it zaps your creativity. When we are so focused on something turning out the exact way we planned it to, we miss the ideas and the inspiration and the opportunities that are floating past us because they don't fit the exact plan that we had for how this thing would look. And for me, accepting that I can't control the outcome of any launches or any goals, this has been a huge shift for me because it means that I now place my energy on the things that I can control, my own actions, my own habits, rather than wasting my energy on the things that I can't control, worrying about the things that I can't control. And then when things don't go as I hoped that they would, I try to look for the lesson in them, or I try to look at the bigger picture. And sometimes in hindsight, I'm really glad that things didn't work out the way that I wanted them to. For example, I had a launch back in 2018. It didn't go to plan. It didn't go anywhere how I wanted it to. And at the time, it was devastating. But in hindsight, I'm now so glad that it fails because I didn't really want to teach that particular course. I was doing it because I thought it was something that would sell, but my heart wasn't in it. So I'm really glad that that failed in hindsight, even though it was really difficult in the moment. The fourth thing that I had to unlearn was that failure should be avoided at all costs. I've learned through many of my own failures that failure is actually the shortcut to success. Trying to avoid failure by overplanning, overthinking, being a perfectionist, this is the long, slow road, and it doesn't actually guarantee that you're going to avoid failure. Instead, being quick to take imperfect action, seeing what happens, learning from it, this is the faster way because you won't know the outcome until you take that first step, and you can't really plan until you are in it, right? There's some things you just can never plan for. I would never have been equipped for the quick growth that my business had in 2020 if it wasn't for the failures that happened in the 4 years before it. And although these failures felt awful at the time, I now understand why they needed to happen for my business to get to where it is today. I now know the lessons that I needed to learn from these failures. There is no other way that I would have ever learned them had I not experienced them firsthand. Okay, the fifth thing that I had to unlearn was that success needs to feel hard for you to be worthy of it. You are no less worthy of a great outcome just because it felt easy. And at the end of 2020, I shared an Instagram post where I was writing a little note to my 2019 self about what 2020 was going to look like. And this is what I said with hindsight. So 2019, Steph, you're making things so much harder than they need to be. For years, you clung to the belief that business is supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be a challenge. It couldn't possibly be easy. Confirmation bias had you looking for all the evidence that you have to struggle to be successful. And when you couldn't find any evidence, you created some of your own. You self-sabotaged, you overcomplicated things, you started doing more until you melted into a little puddle of tears and overwhelm. 2020 is about to shatter this belief for you. 2019, Steph, it's going to force you to realize that good things can come easily and you're still worthy of them. But please, 2019, Steph, never forget how hard you worked in the last 4 years before success finally happened easily in 2020. So looking back at that, when I found that in my notes app on my phone, I was like, oh, I need to share that because this is now a few years on from when I wrote that. And it's still so incredibly relevant. You know, easy can be such a good thing in your business. We don't need to overcomplicate and overthink everything. I really love the question that Tim Ferriss included at the start of his book, Tribe of Mentors, when he shared how he sat down to write this book and it felt really challenging. So he asked himself, what would this look like if it were easy? And instead, he ended up interviewing a whole bunch of people who were really killing it in their field and turning those interviews into this book. Okay, the sixth thing that I needed to unlearn to get my business to the level that it is now. This one's a fun one because this is something I notice a lot with my students in all of our live calls. This one comes up a lot. And that is that you always need to know the answer and you need to know the right way to do something. Our brains love certainty. Certainty means safety. It means survival. If we can predict how something is going to turn out, then we will survive. We'll be safe. And it's why our subconscious keeps us repeating the same behaviors over and over and over again, even though we say we want to change them. So when you are trying something new and it feels uncertain, your brain's going to say, alert, alert, danger, stop. And it's going to try to stop you from doing the thing. But being open to not knowing the answer, being open to that uncertainty, it leaves us open to ideas and inspiration. But first, I needed to unlearn this need for certainty. And I needed to learn to become comfortable with uncertainty and not knowing the right answer. And there are still times when I'm like, oh, this feels uncertain. This feels uncomfortable. I don't know what's going to happen here. But it's that space of not knowing, that is where so much of the magic happens. And then the final one, the seventh thing that I had to unlearn, I might have to do a part 2 because I know there's definitely more than 7 things. But the seventh thing that I had to unlearn is that there's a right vision I should be working towards. No, there is no right vision. The only vision that is the right vision is the vision that is aligned with what I want for my business. And early in my business, I accidentally subscribed to other people's visions. And then that left me building a business I didn't enjoy. It left me feeling out of place, misaligned, wondering how I had managed to build something that I hated, really. And if you want to build a multi-million-dollar empire, great. If you want to build something that's small and gives you loads of freedom and not a huge amount of responsibility, that is also great. Your vision, it's about what you want, not what everybody around you is telling you that you should want. And I think it's really easy to forget this in the noisy social media world where everyone's celebrating these amazing wins they're having in your life. And you are like, oh, why don't I have that? Should I want that? But instead, the only thing you should want is what feels right for you in your business. The only kind of business you need to build is the one that feels right for you. So that is why vision setting is the first step in my free workbook, Escape the Messy Middle. And you can grab that at stephtaylor.co/EMM. There's a link in the show notes, or you can DM me on Instagram at stephtaylor.co, send me EMM, the 3 letters, and I will send you the link to download it instantly. I have a little automation set up there for you so you can grab that link. Now, if you haven't left a review for this show, I really would appreciate if you could take 30 seconds to do so. I have been getting some fabulous ones recently, and I read every single one of them. I get an email into my inbox every Tuesday morning with all of the latest reviews. I read them all. It is the highlight of my week. So please, that is the easiest way you can support this show. If you've learned anything from me so far, take that time to leave a rating and a review. And if you're not subscribed to the show, hit the plus button in Apple Podcasts or follow in Spotify. And it'll just mean you get each new episode straight to your podcast app. You don't have to go and look for it every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you so much for listening. Catch you next time.